Who is your favorite superhero of all time and why? Well, this is where I'm going to say something that makes a lot of people hate me, but I don't really have any particular interest in superheroes myself. Hi, I'm Michael Cera, and Esquire has asked me to explain some things about my life and career. So here we go. Your portrayal of George Michael Bluth in Arrested Development has spanned decades now. Oh my God. Which actor did you most enjoy having scenes with and why? That's pretty much impossible to answer, I would say. I mean, I think about all of the people in that cast, how amazing it was to work with them, and especially being basically a young child. I mean, I was just thinking the other day that Tony Hale used to take me for like driving lessons around Playa del Rey just to let me drive a car. And, you know, all of those people, Alia and Jessica and David Cross and Will Arnett. I mean, I won't name all of them, but basically everybody on that show was just so lovely. And Mitch Hurwitz, who created, is probably the most influential and important person in my career. What makes Jason Bateman such a good TV dad? Any theories leading up to the series finale of Ozark? I wish I had any kind of inside track on that, but I don't. And I don't think he'll respond to a text from me in time for me to leak anything here. Such a good TV dad? Well, I mean, Jason, at least in Arrested Development, I could say his character always wants to do the right thing, even though he almost always does the wrong thing. But Jason was an amazing person to play my TV dad when I was just kind of figuring out how to work on a set in so many ways, and watching how Jason would put a scene together shaped how I have done that subsequently in such a huge way that it's hard to even describe. I mean, I feel like I based my whole approach to work on watching how Jason does it. You were on the first episode of Between Two Ferns. Did you have any idea what it was? That's true. I'm very proud to be on the first episode of such a franchise. I was also in the first Drunk History, so I do feel partly responsible for all of pop culture in the last 10 years. I didn't know what it was. I mean, me and Zach actually did this once live at UCB in LA. I was a big fan of Zach, and he called me one night and said, I'm going to go perform at UCB. Do you want to come with me? And I'll just interview you on stage, and it'll just be a horrible interview. So we didn't have any plan or anything, but Zach just basically attacked me on stage the whole night. And I even had a few friends in the audience who were like a little bit disturbed by it, because they were like, I don't think that was very nice what he did to you. But I was like, no, that was the whole plan, you know. And me and Zach were just like dying about it afterwards. It was really fun. You played a Hollywood card shark in Molly's game. Where did you learn to play poker? Well, I started playing poker personally in high school when there was like the poker boom. I was definitely the worst player, and I had no understanding of the game. I really liked playing it. I mean, all I did was lose, and we used to just gamble with whatever we had around. I remember like putting a bottle of Axe deodorant spray from my backpack and like trying to play for that, you know, like, which I never should have had anyway, because that stuff is so disgusting. But yeah, I think I've gotten better since then. Actually, when it came time to do Molly's game, I kind of thought to myself, maybe I should actually try to learn what poker is really about and why some people are better at it than others. Like, there must be something learnable about it, not just, you know, hoping that you get lucky or something. Many have theorized that Tobey Maguire was the inspiration for your character in Molly's game. Can you speak to that? Well, I think that is kind of what is out there as far as what was written in the book. I don't know how true to reality that really is. Probably only Molly could answer that. And it wasn't really important to me who it was based on. It was just a really well-drawn character in the script. And I have met Toby. I found him to be a lovely guy. With your roles in Juno, Scott Pilgrim, and Superbad, you've come to represent men of a certain generation. What is it about your characters that makes them so relatable? I mean, I think the character, if anything, you know, makes them relatable. I think maybe those characters in those movies that are mentioned are people who are not totally like 100% sure of themselves, or like positioned in life where they completely know who they are yet. And I think that's relatable for most people, like at any point in your life, because we're always kind of failing and figuring it out. Which of your iconic characters would you most like to sit down to dinner with, and why? I mean, who can I say? I mean, okay, well, I'll just say player X from Molly's game, because I would love to go and play some seedy poker game with him, and like, hopefully there would be really good food provided, and I would lose a lot of money, and it would be thrilling. This Moldy Peaches song inspired a generation of ukulele and guitar players. Can you remember the first few lines of the song? Yeah, you're a part-time lover and a full-time friend. Monkey on your back is the latest trend. I'm a big fan of the song, actually, and especially the Moldy Peaches version. And it was exciting doing this movie. We got to hang out with Kimya Dawson, who came to set and just hung out. I'm a big fan of Kimya Dawson's solo music as well, and Adam Green's. So it was cool to get to be around them. Between The Boys Presents Diabolical and Lego Batman, you are no stranger to superhero roles. Who is your favorite superhero of all time and why? Well, this is where I'm going to say something that makes a lot of people hate me, but I don't really have any particular interest in superheroes myself. When I was a kid, I found an action figure in the street. It was of Martian Maneater, and it was like the coolest thing I ever just found. It was sitting in a puddle, and it was like a cherished action figure of mine. And I didn't know that it was a character from comics or anything. I just loved this figure, so I'll say him. You and Jonah Hill are an iconic movie duo. Best thing about working together? Well, Jonah is a very close friend of mine, and it's hard to think that it's been so long since we've actually worked together. But, I think the last time we actually worked together was on This Is the End, which is like 9 years ago already. The best part of working together, we just laugh all the time. Just being around Jonah, I feel like I'm 10 times funnier than I normally am just by him being in the room, and life just feels 10 times more fun. Have there been talks of a Superbad sequel? Would you be open to returning to the role? I would be open to just doing anything with that group of people again. I think that everybody is pretty staunchly against this, just because we feel good about the movie. It could only tarnish something that is a good memory. That said, I would just love to do something with the same group of people, even if it's not Superbad. But it's definitely one of the most fun couple months I've ever had. We just laughed all day long, and we just couldn't believe how much fun we were having making that movie. There was a DVD extra in Superbad called Everyone Hates Michael Cera. What's the story behind it? It's not real, right? Well, the story... Sorry. Excuse me. The story is there was a guy named Greg Cohen who was tasked with doing everything sort of like behind the scenes in Judd Apatow world around that time. And yeah, Greg's job was to come up with things to make for the behind the scenes. It might have been Evan Goldberg's idea to do a thing where I'm like this hated figure on set. And it was so much fun to make. At one point, Musa actually kind of slams me to the ground. And I remember Judd Apatow being a few feet away and being very concerned and becoming very serious about this, because it was a pretty physical moment. I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. I loved how much he committed to it, and I was completely fine, of course. You've had a pretty long music career alongside your acting and directing. Any plans to release new music soon? Well, not really. I never really planned to release any music, to be honest. I kind of just made a lot of homemade hobby music where I was just doing that in my spare time for fun. And then I kind of had so many pieces at one point that a friend of mine told me I should release it, and that it was I was being too protective of it by not releasing it. And I thought that was an interesting way to put it, and wanted to make him proud by putting it out. So. Life and Beth is your first scripted comedy lead role in a while. Was there something special about the series that brought you back for it? Yes, absolutely. I had a chance to read the whole series, basically. Amy reached out to me, and I just loved it. I loved reading it. I loved the world of it. I loved the characters. So I just felt honored to be invited, and I'm very excited that it just fell into my lap. I'm Michael Cera. That was a bit about my career. I'm really sorry if it was boring. I tried not to make it boring, and I know my voice is very low energy, but I'm just sitting in a chair. It's hard to sound different, but thanks anyway.